What if you could hand your students a simple 5-step roadmap that takes them from that scary blank page to a polished final draft every single time? Well, today, we're diving into an incredibly effective framework that does exactly that. It's called the Power Strategy, and it's all about empowering every single one of our young writers. You've seen it, right? We all have. That student just staring at a blank page looking totally overwhelmed. That frustration is so real, not just for them, but for us too. But what if we could give them a toolkit that turns that anxiety into actual, genuine confidence? Well, that's exactly what this is all about. The solution is this brilliant, easy-to-remember framework called the Power Strategy. It's a simple 5-step process that breaks the whole writing journey down into these manageable, easy-to-follow stages. It's a real game changer. And here it is in all its glory. POWER. Plan, organize, write, edit, and revise. See how simple that is? Each letter stands for a really clear step, creating this mental map that students can easily remember and use for pretty much any writing task you throw at them. This simple flow, this is the secret sauce. By moving through these steps, planning, organizing, writing, editing, and then revising, students learn this repeatable process that honestly takes them from the chaos of a brand new idea to the clarity of a finished piece. Okay, so let's really dig in and break these steps down. We're going to look at what each one is for, and I'll share a few practical tips you can start using in your classroom, like tomorrow. First up, we've got P for plan. This is all about brainstorming, pure idea generation. Before a single sentence gets written, we just want our students to think. It's that crucial, what am I even going to write about phase. So here, we want to get them thinking about their topic, sure, but also their audience. Like, who are you actually writing this for? And then just brainstorming keywords and ideas. The key here, and this is important, is there's no structure yet. It's just a creative free-for-all to get those ideas flowing. And here's a great little tip for you. You don't have to teach all 5 steps at once. You can dedicate an entire lesson just to the plan stage. That totally lowers the pressure and helps students really get good at one skill before you ask them to move on. So, once we have that awesome pool of ideas, we move on to O for organize. This is where we take all that creative chaos and start to give it a logical structure. We're basically building the skeleton for their story or their essay. And you know what? Graphic organizers are absolute lifesavers at this stage. They give students a visual roadmap that helps them actually see the connections between their ideas, turning a jumble of thoughts into a coherent, solid plan. It's so powerful to frame this for students by focusing on the reader. Why do we organize? Well, so our writing actually makes sense to the person reading it. This immediately connects what can feel like a chore to the real-world purpose of writing, communication. With a solid plan ready to go, it's time for W, write. And I absolutely love calling this the sloppy copy stage. Why? Because the goal here is just progress, not perfection. It's all about getting those organized ideas down on paper. Our number one job here is to free our students from the fear of making mistakes. We want them to focus only on getting their plan down into sentences and paragraphs. And you can tell them directly, don't worry about spelling, don't worry about grammar. All of that stuff can wait. This right here, this is one of the most empowering things you can say to a young writer. We can fix it later. It gives them permission to be messy, to be imperfect, and to just focus on getting the story out. All right, the sloppy copy is done. Awesome. Now we move to E for edit. This is the mechanical fix-it stage. This is where we put on our detective hats and we start hunting for errors. And to make editing way less overwhelming, we can give students another handy little acronym, COPS. It gives them a really concrete 4-point checklist that's super easy to remember. Check for capitalization, organization, punctuation, and spelling. It turns this vague task into a targeted mission. And again, we can tie this back to the reader. We're not just editing to be correct, we're doing it to make our writing clear and easy for someone else to actually enjoy and understand. It gives the work purpose. And now for the final step, R for revise. Okay, listen, this one is often confused with editing, but it is totally different. Editing is about correctness, fixing mistakes. Revising is about improvement. This is where good writing has the chance to become great writing. And just like COPS helps with editing, ARMS is the tool for revising. It gets students asking creative questions about their own writing. What can I add to make this more exciting? What can I remove because it's kind of boring or doesn't fit?
Where could I move a sentence to make it flow better? And what boring word can I substitute for something with more punch? This is the fun part. This encourages our students to think like real authors. How can we add details that make the reader feel like they're right there? This is where the real magic of writing starts to happen. So that's the theory, but what does this actually look like in practice? Let's follow a student's journey as they write a short story about learning how to swim. Okay, so here we have our student's sloppy copy on the left. You can see the ideas are all there, which is awesome, but now look what happens after they use that COPS checklist for editing. Boom, look at the right. With capitalization, punctuation, and spelling fixed, the same sentences are suddenly so much clearer and easier to read. But the real magic, the part that gives you goosebumps, happens in the revise stage. Using arms, the student adds a fantastic detail, "my hands were shaking," that just puts you right there in the moment. Then they substitute the okay word happy for the much more powerful word proud. Do you see that leap? The story now has real emotion. It has impact. So that's the power strategy in a nutshell. It's a clear step-by-step process that turns the massive, scary task of writing into 5 totally achievable steps. So as you think about your own students, the question really isn't if you should use this, but where you want to begin. Which of these steps feels like the most doable one for you to try out tomorrow and start building that writing confidence in your classroom?